In our last video, we looked at why relying on motivation always fails, and how building discipline is the real lever for taking control of your life. Yet, even when you implement those systems, even when you start checking off your goals and doing exactly what you planned, a strange residue remains. Your internal reality stays locked in a state of high alert. You find yourself with a free Sunday afternoon, the house is finally quiet, and within minutes, an instinctive restlessness takes over. You reach for your phone to scroll through a feed you don't care about, or you begin relitigating a minor argument from 3 years ago. Your brain starts sketching out hypothetical disasters for the coming week. The sudden absence of noise feels hostile, as if the silence itself is a space that must be filled with a problem. We often mistake this for a lack of self-control, but the reality is that we have become addicted to the friction of a busy mind. Chaos provides a familiar sense of gravity. Without it, we feel like we are drifting into an uncomfortable void. Ancient Indian thinkers observed that the mind is not born restless. Instead, it is a tool that becomes conditioned by its environment over decades of use. Every time you react to drama, a signal fires along a specific neural path. With repetition, you carve a deep groove into your consciousness. Eventually, this high-friction route becomes the brain's default operating system. Any path towards stillness becomes physically harder to find. Once this default is set, the mind demands stimulation to feel normal. If the environment is safe and the room is quiet, the brain will scan its own memory to manufacture a crisis, just to keep the signal moving through those familiar grooves. Overthinking is a reflex for a brain that has forgotten how to function without constant input. It creates problems because solving problems is the only language it remembers how to speak. As these neural grooves harden, the ego mistakes these reactions for an entire personality. You stop seeing stress as a temporary state and start identifying as a stressed person, building your internal biography out of daily struggles. This makes peace feel like an existential threat. If you strip away the drama and the fake problems, the structure of the self you've built begins to collapse. Without a crisis to manage, you no longer know who is sitting in the chair. Experience exists on a spectrum: hyper-restlessness on one end, stagnant inertia on the other, and perfect equilibrium in the center. We swing violently between high-voltage hustle and exhausted burnout. The mind treats true stillness like a magnetic repellent, forcefully pushing us back toward familiar problems. Entering stillness feels like losing control of your very identity. We cling to chaos because, however painful it is, it tells us exactly who we are. The truth we avoid is that we have been expertly trained for chaos. We rely on it for a sense of belonging and purpose, making peace feel like a foreign, uncomfortable country. Moving past this requires an act of raw endurance. It means sitting in the silence and refusing to reach for a distraction, even as your mind screams for something to worry about. At first, the vacuum feels completely unbearable, but if you hold that position, the internal ripples lose their energy. The turbulent noise eventually settles into perfectly clear, undisturbed stillness. But as that clarity takes hold, a new fear emerges. Once the fake problems are gone, you are forced to look at what remains. Stripped of the noise and the stories you tell yourself about your struggle, you are left completely and utterly alone with your own presence. This absolute solitude is why most people run back to the chaos. But why is being alone so terrifying? In our next video, we will explore why the thing we need most is often the thing we fear the most.